Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, nuts, lacers, peasants, vassals, minions, banker scum. I know that banker scum are not very fashionable to bash bankers right now, but I always like to bash banker scum, and I'm always watching what banker scum are up to. And welcome, I'm a useful idiot, and today we'll be talking about banker scum. And what we have is something called wash trades, and that's something that was very dominant in the problems leading up to the 1929 crash, and they've come back to permeate our markets. But this is a trade where the buyer and seller are the same person, and they were made illegal after the crash in 1929, and they're still very much illegal. But what a shocker! It turns out that wash trades dominate the market. And in fact, there was a story that came out a few months back where it was revealed that half of all the trades in futures in Chicago are wash trades. So the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, half of all the trades in futures in Chicago are wash trades. And we also find out that other pundits and experts have pointed out the fact that wash trades, it's just acknowledged throughout the industry that wash trades dominate the industry. And I've done several videos recently about the idea of wash trades because high frequency trading creates a lot of situations where the buyer and seller are the same person, so qualifying as wash trades. And then we also have the dark pools, which I've also talked about, where banks and large corporations and too big to fail banks buy and sell their own stock back and forth, which qualifies as wash trades to a certain degree. And the wash trades not only inflates the amount of volume, but also the movement. So we don't get any natural price discovery. And essentially, all those stock prices, just another way of manipulating them. But like everything else I'm talking about, no surprise there, because every single benchmark, every single measurement, every single aspect of the financial economic markets globally are all manipulated. All the banks are manipulating them. They're manipulating each other, and so it goes. A good example of that is the Citadel dark pool. A lot of dark pool activity has been exposed recently from freedom of information requests and lawsuits going on, but FINRA has, for some reason, been blocking access to what's going on at Citadel, a dark pool. But as it turns out, FINRA has fined or sanctioned a Citadel dark pool 26 times for market manipulations. And in January of this year, they were found to be engaging in wash sales. What a shocker. 502,243 times using high-frequency trading for wash trades. And shockingly low fine, $115,000. You heard me right. They only paid $115,000 fine for doing 502,243 wash trades. And this is the kind of activity in millions and millions and millions of shares of dark pools and banks trading their own stock back and forth. In fact, they're the biggest buyers of their own stock. And I'll attach some of my other videos about this phenomenon below. And so basically, it not only inflates volume and movement, but they pump up the stock's price so insiders can bail out at the top and transfer the losses of a worthless or inflated security to uninformed investors. So more pump and dump, more transfer of wealth to the top, easily done. And as we find out about everything else, like everything else, these wash trades dominate the market. So a lot of people are taking a bath because of this corrupt, illegal process. And so not only do we have this wash trade situation dominating the market, but recently, instead of addressing the issue that there's so much illegal activity dominating the market in wash trades, of course, last May, the SEC and FINRA and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange got together and just changed the wording in regulations. So now instead of being called, quote, a wash trade, unquote, now it's called a, quote, self-trade, unquote. And they completely overhauled and gutted regulations for wash trades and defined them as quote, bona fide self-trades. So now they basically just renamed everything so that somehow wash trades can now be legal. And just to show you that, as Mark Twain said, history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it rhymes. Let's look at a 1934 case that's brought up in one of my source articles of Samuel Insole. And he had an electric utility conglomerate using a holding company structure to hide his debt. And it turns out that more than 1 million wash sales were used to inflate the company value. And then when the House of Cards collapsed in 1932, investors were wiped out to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. And so that sounds pretty familiar. And that was one of the those sort of shenanigans are one of the things that made the crash of '29 so inflammatory. And here we have the financial system awash in the same things. So in this story, Insole fled to Europe, was captured, and despite overwhelming evidence of payoffs and market rigging, Insole was acquitted at trial. So he got off scot-free for that. So some things never change. But so here we go. The corruption in the financial industry, the corruption of the big banks, out in the glaring, their dirty laundry, glaring out in the open sun, and yet still nothing happens. There's no prosecutions, nobody put in jail. They pay and walk away, and in some cases more than others. And one of the reasons why we have this kind of corruption, of course, is because it's cronyism at its best. As it turns out, high-frequency trading is 30% of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange's revenue. So from fees of high-frequency trading, that's where they get their revenue. And, of course, as you would guess, Chicago Mercantile Exchange leadership are invested in those very same high-frequency firms, as well as in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange itself. So they're double and triple dipping and have a lot of conflicts of interest, making money from various aspects of what essentially is an illegal process. And also, of course, it pushes up the Chicago Mercantile Exchange stock price, where, like I point out, it's double, triple dipping as far as making money and turning a blind eye to the fact that half of all the trades at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange are wash trades and illegal. And so there we have it. Secret deals, more clandestine arrangements, more manipulation, more market manipulation, more insider trading, more artificial pushing up of stock prices just by selling their shit back and forth to themselves and each other. But we'll just change the name and then everything will be fine. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.